Could you please help the SEC understand why you did not see fit to participate in any of these activities?
Any of what activities?
What I just read.
I did participate in activities.
Were you at the Victory Center?
No.
That was the question.
Were
you at the call?
You never took me over there, man. I never knew who it was.
That is flagrant.
It's not a lie. It's a fact.
I told you where it was.
You're supposed to be the judicious.
I do not appreciate being lied to, okay? Let me go to the second question. Mr. Millett, during the days and weeks leading up to the convention, there is evidence to suggest that individuals or groups within Alaska and or outside of Alaska directed hundreds of thousands of dollars to Alaska for the express purpose of funding the attendance at the convention of some delegates. This apparent buying of delegates was adamantly denied at the time by the organizers who pressed for your election as party chair. Since that time, former delegates of the state convention have openly admitted that their registration fees, transportation fees, and other expenses were in fact financed by others. At the very least, this may be a violation of FEC laws, but could raise even more troubling questions. Can you explain to the SEC who owns you and what promises or commitments you have made to them when you take office?
Mr. Chairman, wait a minute. Mr. Chairman, we had a presentation of the complaint. Now somebody else apparently has some complaint that testifying as to certain things they may believe that you're reading, and that's allegations that are far beyond what this gentleman stated and are even more outrageous. And so I object to it, and somebody's had a chance to meet with counsel and understand just what all the charges are. And so we would request that you furnish him those, and he has a chance to meet with counsel.
I will be more than pleased to give him this pair of questions.
And then the SEC has to decide if those are part of the charges against him too.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Chairman, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. If I may, I wrote those questions because I felt that those spoke rather pointedly to the very core of why we're here tonight. I mean no disrespect to Russ. I think he's a very nice gentleman, probably an honorable man. But I do think that those two questions speak directly to the indictment that Frank has brought, and I think it's the SEC has a right to an answer to those questions.
May I say something?
Mr. Chairman, will people speak on the incident?
Sure, Frank.
Russ, I'm looking at you, I'm sorry.
Don't get my copy.
Rex,
Yes.
I recognized Myrna before you started speaking. You did not have the advantage of realizing that we were both going to be in severe trouble if we did not allow her to speak.
Totally understand that.
Thank you.
I think that it is absolutely absurd to say you were not invited. You are the chair-elect. You should have gone. I came here. I wasn't invited. I said, is there something that needs to be done? Can I do it? I sat myself down in this chair and answered telephones. You sat in the back room and did nothing. I don't get that.
How do you know what I did in the back room?
Well, you didn't accomplish anything.
How do you know that?
Well, what did you accomplish?
I was campaigning. How do you know? For Republican candidates. I've been on many street corners campaigning for Bob Bell, for Anand Dubé. I've knocked on doors. I don't know how you can say that I didn't participate.
I also spent 3 weeks working on Bob Bell's campaign, but I saw you nowhere. And as the chair-elect,
that doesn't mean that I wasn't campaigning, because you saw me nowhere.
well, not where the work was being done anyway.
No, I donated money because he sent me an
Mr.
email.
Chairman, Ms. Earps made a good point. It cost me almost $500 to come here tonight.
And me.
and Debbie, Rebecca.
I left home at 9 o'clock this morning.
And I am disappointed that when I knew and many other people knew what the allegations were, that Russ didn't seem to know what they were. I am disappointed in that. And I don't know at this point, Mr. Chairman, what would be accomplished with any further discussion tonight. Because no matter what we do here, we're going to say, well, he wasn't prepared and didn't have due process to be able to get with his attorney. But now we know. Mr. Millett has an attorney.
Maybe.
He knows what the, maybe. He knows what the allegations are. And I would very reluctantly make the same motion that I made earlier on the other cases to postpone this case, continue this case until the 1st of February, 5:30 p.m. here in Anchorage.
I second.
May I just make one point? You're
No.
never going to
No.
finish.
No.
All right,
Enough
all right.
already.
I don't want to sit here and
It's not
fight.
debatable.
Do it
Not
Saturday. You'll
No.
have a whole day.
Debatable.
Saturday's better.
People,
We don't
Yeah.
care whether you come or not.
Friday night, you're not going to get done.
Can we have a vote?
Is there a second?
Yes.
I second
Becca
it.
second.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Becky.
Thank you very much.
not debatable.
Not debatable. Mr. Ferry, I'll come back to you later if I have an opportunity.
Okay. So this vote is to move the hearing to February 1st at 5:30. And I will roll call. Randy Verdrick,
No.
Steve Culligan,
No, not this time.
Ralph Seekins,
Yes.
Debbie Joslin,
Yes.
Alice Loika, Becca Zerps,
I will vote yes, and I will hope that this is not some ploy. That's just what I want.
Rick Shattuck,
No.
Jason Rampton,
No.
Steve Straight,
No.
Bruce Schulte,
No.
Mike Torianen,
Yes.
Paulette Simpson,
No.
Bert Stedman,
No.
Myrna Maynard.
No.
Thank you.
Stand
Now that
by.
we're back on the record, I recognize Mr. McQuarrie.
Well, it's
I did get back to you.
probably not directly relevant now, but I simply wanted to point out the fact that Becca was more observant than I was in noting something that I knew, is that this had obviously been discussed by Mr. Millett with the media, and I think Joe Miller, and was discussed extensively on his web blog. So the allegation that he only received knowledge, and only had knowledge of this 2 days before.
Is this
obviously-
final argument, Mr. Chairman, what is this
False.
about now?
I'm giving him the privilege to speak, much as I made the mistake of doing that with others. Thank you, Frank. You want to make a question? You want to have anything that's for the good of the body?
Question to the chair, were there other questions? You indicated there might be yet another letter. I just didn't know if that was something you were going to.
These are questions for a different individual, for a different process.
Should I be collecting questions?
Do we have any questions in hand to ask Mr. Millett at this time?
I have not asked
You have not asked.
for questions to Mr.
There were questions from Juno, was there not, Mr. Chairman?
If there are, I do not have them printed. If you have a copy of them, I would appreciate them.
Paulette and Juno, I'm happy to read them, but I do believe I sent copies to Steve Collins.
She did, and I had them a second ago.
I may have them in a moment.
Mr. Chairman, while he's looking for that, I would request on behalf of the respondent a continuance on the subject to the following conditions. One, it appears that some people have certain questions about his behavior, or perceived behavior, and that may imply that they're part of the charges that have been made against him. So
Point of
I would
order,
ask
Mr.
that
Chairman.
Yes, Russ, Rex.
You
That's
It
twice,
sounds
I'm
like
sorry.
Mr. Ross, God bless his heart, he's doing the job he's supposed to, is going to ask for another continuance. How many times will we have to vote for that?
Why don't you wait till I finish my motion?
How many times you can do it?
I now have the question in hand.
Okay, I'm asking, now Murner had some questions that sounded relevant. This gentleman back here has some questions that
And
sounded
I have
relevant.
agreed to give those to your client.
Yeah, and what I would like to do is, if there's anybody else that has questions, get them to them and let us respond on the 1st of February so they can be prepared to know what the allegations are.
If we're horse.
You know, this has nothing to do with allegations. These are simply questions, Mr. Ross.
But there are questions beyond the scope of the allegations that have been made. He hasn't even had
No,
a chance to
the
consult with attorney.
allegations are very broad,
beyond the
Mr. Ross. I might entertain the following thought process.
Let me change the procedure. Mr. Chairman, can I make a motion to change the procedure?
No, because I have some questions to ask.
Well, I wanted to expand the question side. I wanted to expand the time allowed for questions. Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to change the procedure which we agreed on earlier this evening to allow for expanded time to lay the questions on the table for us to be able to take a look at the allegations and how they relate to the allegations of the complaint. And we obviously aren't going to get done by 9 o'clock tonight, but that way it lays it on the table as to what it is that people are concerned about in the behavior of the respondent.
So you're... Mr. Chair, I'd like to amend that motion and also extend the meeting to possibly 9:30 or earlier if we can get done with it. Extend it to 9:30.
9:30 to accomplish this goal. Is there a second?
But I would...
Second.
Second, Myrna. Maynard. Everybody in favor of extending to allow us to define the complaint against Mr. Millett?
Question side.
Yeah. Well, complaints and questions.
Is this a motion to extend till 9:30?
Yes, and with that as the allowed content. It's not an open shopping list.
I will change my motion to incorporate extending to 9:30. I can still make my point.
Did you say up to 9:30?
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Just my grandson. I'm supposed to be babysitting tonight.
You're relieved.
We'll see.
He probably thinks this
Not
is
my grandson.
Okay, Mr. Ross, please assist us by being on message. Why, to Mr. Millett, why did you remove your name from Republican Party registration after registering in 08?
That was frustrating with the ticket. Just like you were.
I didn't remove my name.
No.
I continue
Well, you were
to support-
frustrated with the ticket, you told me that.
I know there's no such thing as a privileged conversation with you. That's one of the problems I have.
Now, we're not having a real independent chairman of these proceedings when you make comments, Rock.
When he makes cheap shots, I'm going to enjoy them. Why did you support, who did you support in the past presidential election?
Who did I support?
Yeah. In the 2012 presidential election.
At what point?
Yeah, good point.
In the general election.
I didn't support anybody.
You realize that? No. Thank you.
As chairman-elect, I didn't support anybody.
Who's your vote for?
That's a valid
Yeah,
question.
Never mind.
that's not a valid question.
I
Who'd you vote for?
withdraw it. I withdraw.
I voted secret ballot.
Okay, I withdrew the question.
Even? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, point of clarification.
Yes.
Since you're asking the questions on that end, I was a little garbled on this end. I'm not sure, but I think I just heard the party elect say that he supported no candidate in the general election.
That is, I believe, exactly what he said. You understood him clearly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
This is a question from one of the folks on the phone. On April 28th, 2012, 234 days ago, you were elected as the incoming chair of the Alaska Republican Party. The ARP rules assign to the incoming chair the duty of serving as finance chair to prepare to assume the chair position.